In 1945, as World War II came to a brutal end, Europe stood in ruins. Cities were ashes, millions were displaced, and the world had witnessed horrors unlike anything recorded in human history. But among the rubble, one question remained. How do you hold an entire regime accountable for crimes so large, so terrible, that there wasn't even a name for them yet? The Allies found their answer in a city untouched by bombing, Nuremberg, Germany. A place once used by the Nazis for massive propaganda rallies, now turned into the courtroom where their leaders would face justice. Inside Courtroom 600, the atmosphere was heavy. The world watched as 22 of the most powerful surviving Nazi officials were brought forward. Men who once commanded armies, factories, and entire nations now stood behind bulletproof glass, wearing headphones, listening to their crimes read aloud in 4 languages. For many, this was the first time hearing the term crimes against humanity. The prosecutors needed a new word to describe what had happened in the concentration camps, the ghettos, and the killing fields of Eastern Europe. Millions murdered, not in battle, but systematically, mechanically as policy. Over months of testimony, the courtroom heard stories of survivors, voices trembling as they recalled starvation, torture, and the cold efficiency of death camps like Auschwitz and Treblinka. The evidence was overwhelming. Mountains of documents, signed orders, films, photographs, even recorded speeches. Some defendants tried to deny everything. Some blamed Hitler. Some said they were just following orders, a phrase that echoed like poison in the courtroom. But others sat silently, staring at the floor, knowing the world now saw what they had done. One of the most shocking moments came when film reels, captured by Allied soldiers, were played in the courtroom. Judges, lawyers, journalists, even the defendants themselves watched as images of mass graves, skeletal prisoners, and burning bodies flickered across the screen. The courtroom fell silent. Even hardened generals lowered their heads. For the first time in human history, leaders were being tried not for losing a war, but for the way they had waged it. After nearly a year, the verdicts were read. 12 men sentenced to death, 7 given long prison terms, 3 acquitted. Outside the courthouse, reporters scribbled wildly while survivors wept, not because justice erased the pain, but because the world finally recognized it. The trials also reshaped global law. The concepts of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity were strengthened and defined. And a new idea emerged. Leaders cannot hide behind orders. They are responsible for the suffering they create. The Nuremberg Trials became a blueprint for future international courts, from Rwanda to Yugoslavia to modern tribunals today. And the courtroom where it all happened, Courtroom 600, still stands as a museum and a reminder of what happens when unchecked power becomes cruelty. The legacy is clear. Humanity must confront its darkest chapters, not to reopen wounds, but to ensure they are never repeated. Because justice, no matter how delayed, matters. And the world still looks to Nuremberg when it asks one timeless question: how do we hold evil accountable? How should the world remember the Nuremberg Trials today? Let me know in the comments. And like, comment, share, and subscribe for more stories that changed history. The Driven Tales.